Welcome, family, friends and staff of Leiden University to the very unique graduation of the class of 2020.
Our names are Abigail Thorley and Ethan Warren, and today we are honoured to be your virtual presenters. We know this isn't the graduation that we all expected, but today we hope to help you celebrate while we say goodbye and congratulations to the class of 2020.
We will be here to guide you through this online graduation. Now is the part we'd normally ask you to rise, but in this case, please stay seated on your couch, bed, stool, or anything and everything in between.
And without further ado, we'd like to invite the Dean of Leiden University College, Judy Mesman, to lead the procession.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the class of 2020.
Welcome to the online graduation of the class of 2020 of Leiden University College. Whereas I would normally be looking at a live audience of hundreds of people, I am now in an empty auditorium. But using my imagination, I spy with my little eye what is not physically in front of me. I spy 164 almost graduated students sitting on a podium in their caps and gowns, eagerly awaiting the moment that they will receive their well-deserved diplomas. I spy hundreds of family members, friends, and other loved ones smiling until their jaws hurt because they are so proud of those on the podium. I spy the LUC academic staff bursting with pride because they're waving at the students that they have had in their classrooms and whose capstones they supervised. I spy the support staff, enjoying the fact that another cohort that they admitted, guided, and supported throughout their time at LUC is ready to storm the castle. The I Spy game is one that almost all of us have played as children, trying to find something to spy that we think the others in the game would miss, trying to spy what the other was telling us was out there, but was not visible to us yet. A game of perspectives, a game of challenging others to see what you're seeing. In real life, this is not just a game. The art of perspective taking is crucial to fair and just societies in which all can see what they have a right or an obligation to see, and in which all are seen as they deserve to be seen. Simply having eyes is not enough. The eyes are useless when the mind is blind. Blind to injustice, blind to inequalities, blind to privilege, blind to ignorance. What we have been trying to do here at LUC in the past 10 years, of which the almost graduates have now experienced 3 or maybe 4 years, is to provide glasses for the mind. And not just any regular glasses, but looking glasses and telescopes that will take students from the microscopic to the astronomical, from the local to the global, from details to big ideas. In the end, the whole purpose of education is turning mirrors into windows. But you might know the saying, never let formal education get in the way of your learning. And I'm sure you all learned as much outside of our classrooms as you did inside our classrooms. Some of you must have vastly improved your table tennis skills on floor 1, practiced your patience in the elevators, found out how to create fabulous common rooms, forge unlikely friendships, become skilled at effectively separating your laundry, learn how to park your bikes in an orderly manner, put your rubbish in the correct bins. Oh wait, sorry, I got carried away. That actually did not happen. Well, I guess there's always room for improvement, but for the duration of this ceremony, you don't have to improve anything. Just be content and proud that this moment has finally arrived. So let's get this show on the road.
Thank you for that introduction, Judy. Now we would like to present this year's commencement speaker. This year's speech will be given by Mitchell Isaias, a scholar, co-founder of the Black Archives, a unique historical archive for inspiring conversations, activities, and literature from Black and other perspectives that are often overlooked elsewhere.
He has also co-founded the New Urban Collective, a social enterprise to strengthen the social position of youth with a migrant background, especially those of African descent. His work is focused on documenting the history of Black emancipation movements and individuals in the Netherlands. He has also been a proactive leader in the Kick-Out Zwarte Piet movement and the fight for social justice.
We're honored to be able to give the floor to Mr. Mitchell Isaias.
Oh, hello, my name is Mitchell Isaias, and I was invited to give a speech to you all. We're living in extraordinary times, so we need to take extraordinary measures. It's a pity that I cannot be there with you on this beautiful day in a physical way. So we came up with this solution by sharing my message and my thoughts with you via this video message. What I will do, I will shortly introduce myself for those who may not know me, and I thought of sharing a few tips based on my experience after graduating and developing this place where I am at now, the Black Archives. Who am I? My name is Mitchell, as I said, and I come from quite a big family. My grandmother had 15 children and my grandpa 16. I have more than 50 cousins, and the reason I say this is because I was the first in my family to go to the higher level of secondary education. After that, I went to the university and finished it as the first in my family. So I know how it may feel for you to graduate, to finally, after all those years of hard work and studying, to get that diploma. And I'm very happy for you. So on this picture you see me on the first week, or maybe even the first day of secondary school. I went to a school in Amsterdam South. And as you may notice, I was one of the few black boys in my class. And this is the first week. A few years later, I was still there. I think it's easy to identify me, because I was the only black boy in class. And that's not a problem. I can hang out with everybody. I had friends from all walks of life. However, I did notice that I was the only black boy. Another thing that I noticed was that often, when we had to study and learn about history, we had to learn a lot about European history, the Second World War, the Enlightenment, and other parts of especially European history. And we did not learn that much about certain sides of our history, such as the history of Suriname, the Caribbean, and histories of colonialism, slavery, and even racism. And I noticed that because at home I did learn quite a little bit about it from my mother and from my family. And the reason I think it's important to learn about these histories and these stories is because we live in a society with people from different walks of life, different cultural backgrounds, different ethnic backgrounds. And to be able to work together, to live together, it's important to know where the other is coming from. So, going to university, again, unfortunately I don't have a picture, but I hope you believe me. It was often the case that I was the only black boy or black student in a huge space. I started with business administration, ended up with anthropology, did finish both. And in both studies, again, there was not that much diversity. So together with a few fellow students, I set up a network called New Urban Collective. One of the reasons was that, we found that there was not enough attention being given to certain topics, certain issues, certain histories, such as colonial histories and its legacy, racism, exclusion, but also positive things. So we started organizing events, projects, activities, such as a project where we connect students and graduates with businesses and organizations so they can find jobs and internships. A program where we did an exchange with students from London around black emancipation movements such as the Civil Rights Movement and Martin Luther King. A campaign around decolonizing the university because we found that there was too little attention to critical and post-colonial perspectives in our curricula. One of my favorite projects, the mentoring program, where students gave coaching and mentoring to primary school youth from Amsterdam Southeast, one of the neighborhoods in Amsterdam where a lot of youth are sent to lower levels of education, and the Black Archives. And I'll tell a little bit more about that before I share my tips. So how did it start? As I said, we started with New Urban Collective in 2011 with the idea of supporting each other as students from diverse cultural backgrounds, and because we found that there was not enough attention being given to certain parts of history. In 2015, 4 years after we started with LUC, we were approached by these two guys, Chemo and Miguel Helbrand. Their father, Waldo Helbrand, used to be a sociologist working at the University of Amsterdam, but he was born in Suriname. He did a lot of research on colonial history, also at Leiden University. He cooperated with some of the scholars there, and wrote a lot, published a lot, read a lot of books. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2009. And when he passed away, he left behind quite a large collection of books. You can see them on the background and on the picture. So his sons inherited this collection, and after a while they were like, hey, let's do something with the collection. Our father would have wanted more, and we know that people, young people, elders are interested in this information. So let's make it available. So together with Chemo and Miguel, we set up something which we call the New Urban Cafe. In a little room in Amsterdam North, where we made the books available by buying a few cheap shelves at the IKEA. We put the books in there, and we called it our little library. And it went quite well. A lot of people showed up. A lot of people were interested in these histories, these books, these stories. A lot of students came there for research. However, after a few months already, we had to leave the building because of gentrification and developments in the city. So we were desperately looking for a different place. And quite coincidentally, we ended up in the place where I'm standing now. Currently, I'm in the building of Vereniging ons Suriname, the Association of Surinamese People, which is the oldest association of Surinamese people in the Netherlands. It's 100 years old. And when we came here, we heard they had some space. So we went looking for the space. And this is what the space looked like. As you can probably see, it was quite messy. Boxes everywhere, very dusty. You could say one big chaos. But we were desperate for space, so we made a deal in which we said, hey, we can help you clean up if we can put our books here. So we started cleaning up with some volunteers, students, friends. And whilst cleaning up, we found out that there was an amazing collection, a hidden treasure hidden in these boxes. We found magazines from the 1950s and 60s with Martin Luther King on it, an original edition of Malcolm X, autobiography, a beautiful book by the great poet Langston Hughes, James Baldwin, also pamphlets about the abolishment of slavery, a commemoration from the 1950s in Amsterdam. So it was like we found hidden history right here in these boxes. We also found some things that are quite relevant, you could say, especially in these times. Over the past few weeks, I think most of us have seen that there have been large protests across the world, started in the United States, but also here in the Netherlands, sparked by the brutal murder on George Floyd in the United States. So it was about police violence and racism. What we found was that also here in the Netherlands, there has been a history of police violence, of racism by different institutions. These are examples of things that we found in the archives. We also found some more, positive and empowering images, like people marching for the independence of Suriname, people making music, having fun. So what we tried to do and what we developed throughout time was a method to make this hidden history more visible for a broad audience. So in 2018, we developed our first exhibition about a wonderful story of Otto and Hermina Huiswoud. If you want to know more, Google it. It was beautiful because it allowed us to invite all kinds of people, young, old, even Angela Davis, a professor from the United States, visited us. And currently, we have an exhibition about this 100-year history of the association. So, my first tip. My first tip is also the slogan of New Urban Collective, which is improve every day. You may have huge dreams and goals and things you would like to achieve, but we believe that it always starts with a small first step. And if you take a few small steps every day, or make a few improvements, whether on yourself, on your talents, on your skills, on your organization, in a few years, you may have achieved something beautiful and great. I think the Black Archives is a beautiful example. And when you think about where we started, little room in Amsterdam North, and 2 years ago we won the Amsterdam Art Prize, and currently we are working with all kinds of curators and musea across the Netherlands and even internationally. My second tip is to continue to develop yourself and to develop a map, as you can call it, a mission, an aim, and a purpose. Because indeed, I congratulate you, you got your diploma after all these years of hard work and studying, but this is not the end. You can also see it as a new beginning. Getting your diploma is not the end of developing yourself, of learning. I think that finding your purpose, finding out what your passion is, what makes you tick, and how you can contribute something to a greater cause is one of the most important things you should do in life. So that is something that you can continue to develop throughout your life, especially in the period after you just graduated. Takes me to step 3. When you found your purpose, and it can be a process, it's not like you can find it somewhere in a shop, or the supermarket, or by just thinking about it. It's a process that you can investigate and learn about by taking action, by trying out certain things, by taking small steps, by starting a new job, doing some volunteering work, joining a community organization, or some kind of social justice or environmental program. And by trying out all these things, taking some action, on the one hand, I think you can develop your skills. You can really find out what is your passion, what's your purpose. But it also allows you to take these steps towards your goals. To give one beautiful example, in my opinion, as this week we learned that the curriculum, the canon as they call it, the canon of the Netherlands, will be changed. Every few years there's a commission who re-evaluates the canon, which includes all of the information and the educational goals in terms of history, which all children on primary and secondary school have to learn about. The commission announced that they will include more information about colonial history, even about Anton de Kom, one of my anti-colonial heroes. So it was our mission when we started to contribute to more information about colonial history. So to us, this is a great achievement. Tip 4 is fail forward. If you have these beautiful goals and dreams and you take actions, it's inevitable that sometimes you may fail or you'll meet certain challenges and obstacles. But don't let failure or obstacles stop you from trying to do what you want to do. Make it motivate you, learn your lessons from these failures so that you can grow and do it the next time in a better way. And my last tip is connected to what has been happening over the past few weeks. As I briefly already said, we've seen all these protests going on in the United States, but even here in Europe, in the Netherlands, around the murder of George Floyd, around institutional racism, around anti-blackness. I had the privilege to contribute to organizing one of these or several protests, including the one on June 1st on Dam Square. We thought it would be a small protest with a few hundred people, but within a day, more than 10,000 people showed up. And on the one hand, it's sad, because the reason that so many people came is because people know and feel that racism is a problem in the Netherlands as well. But on the other hand, it's beautiful that so many people showed up to show solidarity and to support each other. Because when we look at this issue, and I'll keep it brief, we know that unfortunately, racial violence is a problem in the Netherlands as well. Last year I joined a meeting of Kick Out Zwarte Piet, an action group, and we almost got attacked by extremists. So this was my car, and it shows that unfortunately racism is a problem here in the Netherlands as well. We've seen police violence happening here as well, among or against peaceful protesters. Research shows that racial profiling by the police is an issue as well. We see that there's discrimination on the labor market and that's a structural problem. So we live in a moment, in a society where things are, quite heated. A lot of discussions, a lot of emotions, a lot of different viewpoints and perspectives. And that's necessary because we all grow up in a different context. But I do think that all of us would like for our children and each other to grow up in a place where everybody has equal opportunities. Unfortunately, that is still not the case. So, as graduates, I would like to congratulate you, but also press upon you that it's upon you as young people to contribute to a world, a society where everybody, irrespective of color, race, gender, or sexuality, should have the same opportunities. And sometimes debates can get very heated, and that's okay, but also take the time to reflect, to really listen to one another, to maybe read a book about one of these issues, and try to understand the viewpoint of the other person. I'm sure that if that happens, we will live in a much better world in the future. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Mitchell, for that amazing speech. Now I'm going to hand off to Sarah Hinman, who will present the Arnout van Linden Prize, which is something our entire class has voted for. So thank you, Sarah Hinman, and I'll hand off to you.
Annually, the LUC community is asked to nominate students in the graduating class who exemplify what it means to be a global citizen. This award seeks to acknowledge an individual who has actively demonstrated our college's goal for students to engage with their community in all of its meanings, both within and beyond LUC. This is a fitting aim for a program focused on global challenges that aim to build knowledge for a better world. What better way to build knowledge than through putting oneself out there to work with others and learn while trying to bring about positive change? Through coursework and the residential concept of LUC, students have many formal and informal opportunities to explore elements of citizenship in a challenging global society. For this award, we seek students who demonstrate the qualities of active engagement, responsive and responsible participation in civic and/or community building within and beyond the college. All of the nominees for this year's award engage with these aims in one way or another. The nominations for the 2020 Arnout van Linden Global Citizenship Award mentioned many valuable activities which students participate in, including within the residential system, working as part of groups within LUC or beyond that address issues of inequality, women's empowerment, race, ethnicity, and diversity. Nominees have participated directly in making the LUC academic program stronger. Every year, the Global Citizenship Award Committee has a chance to learn yet more about what our students have been doing during their time at LUC. And the nominees, like all of our graduates, are some pretty busy individuals. Since the nominees, along with the rest of the class of 2020, are graduating, clearly everyone was studying hard too. And in a few cases of the nominees, I know firsthand how hard they have worked during their time at LUC. This year's recipient of the Arnout van Linden Global Citizenship Award represents the award's ideals through concrete and direct efforts in community engagement both within and beyond LUC. Additionally, according to the nominations, has reached her achievements in this arena with kindness, compassion, and a smile. The activities that best illustrate this global citizen include being an Introduction Week mentor, student ambassador, a presenter at the Dies Fatalis, which was followed up the next year by being one of the MCs at graduation. What the nominations highlighted the most, and I will do so the same today, was her demonstration of citizenship through her role in co-founding the Race and Ethnicity Committee in her first semester at LUC. This committee has organized events at LUC and in collaboration with organizations like International I Am, where they organized an event around Afro-Caribbean music, art, and food. Additionally, she has been involved in Leiden's Afro student organization since its beginning and is responsible for the bridge built between the organization and LUC. I did some digging and learned that even before LUC, she has been involved in promoting human rights in her own country of Botswana and volunteering as an ally at Amsterdam Centraal to help newly arriving refugees. While I have only started to get to know Bahumi Mogwa Jansen recently, I have a feeling that this short summary barely scratches the surface of all the ways in which she embodies the LUC idea of a global citizen. I cannot wait to hear what she does next while she pursues a master's in development studies at SOAS. Congratulations, Bahumi!
I really didn't know any of this was happening. Thank you. I'm actually shaking a bit.
And for you, my darling.
Thank
I want to hug you so badly.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. You deserve it.
I didn't know this was happening.
Yeah.
We did our best.
We did really well.
Yeah.
I managed to keep it together at drinks the other night.
Yeah.
I found out that morning that this was the decision we'd made.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
Congratulations to Bahumi. Now, for the class of 2020, alongside figuring out how to write our capstones with all the distractions that our homes have to offer, we have also voted for our class representative. Class representatives are the first point of contact for alumni to reach out to each other, and will work alongside Evolucio, our alumni association. Now, whether it's been a friendly smile on floor 2 or giving us a hearty laugh in the pantomime, our representative has been an ever-present positive force throughout these last 3 years. It is with great pleasure that we give you the representative for the class of 2020, Omari Palmer.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to my fellow graduates, family and friends, and to all our LUC support staff and faculty members who are joining today in LUC's first online graduation ceremony. Like this online graduation, the class of 2020 has taken on many monumental firsts. The first flood at AVB, the first rampage, and the first and last gala at Hotel des Alpes. Although this first online graduation is not how many of us had hoped to mark the ending of our time at LUC, I'm still grateful that no matter what corner of the globe, well, mostly European countries we have been flung to, we can still take the time to celebrate and commemorate what has truly been an unforgettable experience. I'm very honored to have been chosen to represent the class of 2020. I want to first reflect on our experiences as LUC students, then express our enormous gratitude to this community, and lastly, to say goodbye to a place which quickly went from being just a university to becoming a home, a place of refuge and comfort, but also a place to be challenged. For many of us, 2 years, 11 months, and 3 days ago, when we moved into AVB, we ran to action to buy our first set of fairy lights, and for me, my first of many houseplants, and it marked a different kind of first. For so many of us, it was the first time leaving the comfort of our parents' home, whether from another Dutch city or a country on the other side of the world. We had to learn to cook for ourselves for the first time, or do our own laundry for the first time. Well, if you didn't live a train ride away from home, of course. And although many of us were drawn to LUC for many similar reasons, our experiences from the moment we walked through those doors have been different. We've joined and started various committees, directed plays, and chaired the dias. But that difference in experience is not only reflected in happy moments, but also in painful moments too. The discussions we have been having at LUC for the past few weeks are an indicator of this community beginning to seriously address the racism and discrimination which members of this community have faced. As we are all soon to become LUC alumni, this means taking all of these conversations outside, outside of our classrooms, outside of the bubble, outside of Facebook, and into our new communities. I can only hope that this graduating class breathes new energy into all the places we will go by continuing these conversations and striving for more equality and justice. And more than anything, I want to ensure that we recognize the diversity of experience that we have had since walking into LUC, knowing that we will continue to have different experiences as we walk out. Now, although our diplomas may only have our name on it, we are not solely responsible for this achievement because it really does take a village. Without our encouraging professors and administrative staff who have worked hard behind the scenes, especially during the past few months of this pandemic, we would not be here today. Nor would many of us be here without our parents, for their guidance, training, and their generous wallets. One of the things which makes saying goodbye to LUC that much harder is having to say goodbye to the amazing friends we've made over the past 3 years. As we say goodbye to this community, one thing I know we will all have to become better at is being comfortable with uncertainty. And in our discomfort with these uncertain times, there's also space for new opportunities and the chance to make choices we may have never considered before. Similarly to 3 years ago, when many of us did not think moving to the Netherlands, to The Hague, or even to LUC would be part of our journey. And I'm very excited to hear where these uncertainties will take us all. And no matter where we are all celebrating right now, whether with friends or with family, we can confidently say we did it. And we deserve to be proud of making it through these 3 years. So, congratulations to us.
The LUC community is vibrant, active, and special with strong student involvement and commitment. The residential life at AVB is a big component of an LUC student life. You lived at AVB for your first 2 years, and now that most of you moved out, you can look back on all the special moments you had with your floor families and friends. The RAs play a big role in developing these floor communities, looking out for your well-being and uniting students between and across floors. This year especially, the RAs did not only have the already complex and very responsible job to support residential life at LUC, but also had to deal with something that no training, book, or workshop could have prepared them for: a pandemic. We want to give a special acknowledgement to Head RA Menno Knoll and the team of amazing RAs that supported our students, provided care above and beyond what they ever envisioned or prepared for, and worked with LUC through what can only be described as the most unexpected and unpredictable challenge our society has faced in recent times. We also want to acknowledge the role Fortuna has played during this semester in uniting students and creating a new social digital platform for the entire community. Your creativity and quick reflexes in these times were admirable and generated positive energy and community feeling during very difficult times for many. We appreciate all your commitment and efforts. Thank you.
Thank you, Amari. We look forward to your work for our class in the upcoming years. We also couldn't have a graduation without also giving thanks to our staff here at LUC. From the professors who have accompanied us throughout our time to the support staff without which we could not have a college to study in.
Whether it was a challenging class or just giving us a friendly smile from the security desks, you have helped to make our time here at LUC. And now, we will begin with the conferring of the degrees, starting with World Politics and Global Public Health, as presented by Beatrix Campbell and Jyoti Trivikraman.
Dear students, parents, relatives, alumni, and everyone else who is following this online event in lieu of a proper sending off of the class of 2020, I'm very sorry that we cannot celebrate this milestone with you and the years of hard work you put into your degree. But I hope that there will be a time when we can give a proper sending off to you. First, I'd like to introduce the World Politics major a wee bit to those of you who are unfamiliar with it. World Politics is a degree in international relations and political science, but since we are at a liberal arts college, the curriculum allows us to incorporate other disciplines within our program, such as international history, sociology, and cultural studies, amongst many others. In World Politics, we are not only concerned with interactions between states, but also the relationship between states, non-state actors, and individuals. We are about connecting these dots and making sense of the changing world order through them. This focus has enriched your understanding of international politics, which I'm sure will be essential for you to work out what's been happening internationally, not only with regards to the pandemic that we are experiencing at the moment, but also the current discussion on racism, or the rise of populism and nationalism in most of our countries, questions on democracy, the role of international institutions, forgotten wars like the one in Afghanistan, or even Brexit. These topics have all featured in your theses. Many of you will continue with your interest in world politics through internships and jobs at different ministries and diplomatic missions around the world, and also through master's programs. In fact, many of your LUC colleagues will join you too. The class of 2020 has no idea what the future holds, and neither do we, if we're honest. However, I would like to leave you with the following. This is no time to despair. Breaks do come, but only if you're open to them. My generation has been told that hard work and sacrifices will get us to the places where we want to be. I can confirm this is simply not true. This does not mean you mustn't study or work hard, but work hard on figuring out who you are and what you want from your lives. Find your true, authentic selves, rather than fitting into an idealized image touted by well-known personalities or influencers on Instagram. Because once you have done that, things will become easier, brighter, and far more fulfilling. 2 very recent quantitative studies confirmed exactly that. They showed that students who follow the subjects they are passionate about will find jobs easier and will have a far more fulfilling and happier life than those who are trying to game the system and study degree programs which seemingly offer them advantages to a better paid job. So I hope you enjoyed being part of the World Politics degree program as much as we enjoyed having you. Enjoy your transition from LUC and continue to have as much fun in the next chapter of your lives as you did with us. I, along with all the professors from the World Politics team, would like to acknowledge that it has been an honor and privilege to have you in our program and to be part of your journey. So huge congratulations to all of you and best of luck.
One of my tasks is to explain what we teach in global public health. Given the current pandemic, I don't need to explain in much detail about the importance of public health. I do want to highlight one critical part. My physical distancing, my washing hands, my wearing a mask is not about me. It is about you. It is about all of you. And that is broadly what public health is. How can we all live healthy lives? And what is my role in ensuring a healthy life for you, your families, and communities? At its core, global public health is about interdependence. At LUC, global public health uses one very tiny focus, health, to ask broad political, economic, social, cultural, and ecological questions. How do gender, sexual orientation, and race influence access to and quality of care? How do we measure maternal mortality, and can we trace how these powerful numbers are actually produced? What can we learn about the history of AIDS activism to understand today's activism? And who is responsible for health and healthy lifestyles? How do you define health? Our students come away from this major understanding that global public health cannot answer these questions in any other way than through an interdisciplinary approach. Health encompasses not just having a nearby clinic, but being able to access it. Clinical trials on drug resistance inform health system questions on drug supplies and social science questions on the use of antibiotics. Breakthrough findings on the importance of the microbiome in the gut makes us realize how much our fast-changing ecological environment shapes our health. This need for interdisciplinarity and interdependence is visible in the capstone theses of the graduates today. Students researched how composting could help communities reduce food insecurity, the care received by MSM populations at the Hague in Amsterdam, how financing of maternal and child health care impacts on health outcomes, how health policy is implemented on the front lines, management of chronic diseases, and lastly, stress and health outcomes. All of these topics fall under the rubric of global public health. I know this is not the graduation you all wanted, but I am nothing but hopeful of the world you are about to enter. You are graduating on the cusp of change. Social movements that seek justice in health, economics, politics, and the environment. Do not think of this as a world upside down, with uncertain prospects, but rather know that we have prepared you through your studies at LUC to ask critical questions and to make important choices. On behalf of the entire GPH faculty, we are proud of you. LUC is an inspiring but also challenging place, and we expect a lot from our students. We hope that you remember all the analytical and practical skills you acquired here. We look forward to seeing what the future holds for you. And now to the GPH graduates. Congratulations.
Our journey at LUC was not purely academic. With their rampaging spirits, this year's graduates were a part of many of the engaging committees and hosted many memorable events. Up next, we will showcase this creative side of our LUC life. Please enjoy their performance.
May you have auspiciousness and causes of success. May you have the confidence to always do your best. May you take no effort in being generous, sharing what you can, nothing more, nothing less. May you know the meaning of the word happiness. May you always lead with the beating in your chest. May you be treated like an esteemed guest. May you get to rest, may you catch your breath. May the best of your todays be the worst of your tomorrows. Whoa. And may the road last day be the road that you follow. Whoa. Well, here's to the highs that you're gonna break. Here's to the lies that you're gonna change. Here's to the infinite possible ways to love you. I want you to have it. Here's to the good times we're gonna have. You don't need money, you got a free pass. Here's to the fact that I'll be sad without you. I want you to have it all. Oh, I want you to have it all. I want you to have it all. I want you to have it. Be as fascinating as a slap sled. May you keep the chaos and the clutter of your desk. May you have unquestionable health and less stress. May you have recession or immeasurable wealth. May you get a gold star on your next test. May you educated guesses always be correct. And may you win prizes shining like diamonds. May you really own it each moment to the next. May the best of your todays be the worst of your tomorrows. Whoa. And may the road last day be the road that you follow. Whoa. Well, here's to the highs that you're gonna break. Here's to the lies that you're gonna change. Here's to the infinite possible ways to love you. I want you to have it. Here's to the good times we're gonna have. You don't need money, you got a free pass. Here's Here's to the fact that I'll be sad without you. I want you to have it all. Oh, I want you to have it all. I want you to have it all. I want you to have it. Oh, I want you to have it all. Oh, you can imagine. Oh, no matter what your path is, if you believe it, then anything can happen. Go, 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 raise your glasses. Go, 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 you can have it all. I toast you. Here's to the highs that you're gonna break. Here's to the lives that you're gonna change. Here's to the infinite possible ways to love you. I want you to have it. Here's to the good times we're gonna have. You don't need money, you got a free pass. Here's to the fact that I'll be sad without you. I want you to have it all. Oh, I want you to have it all. I want you to have it all. I want you to have it. 'Cause here's to the good times we're gonna have. Here's to always making me laugh. Here's to the fact that I'll be sad without you. I want you to have it all.
Thank you for that stirring performance, and congratulations to all of the World Politics and Global Public Health majors on the receiving of their degrees. Up next, we will have the conferring of degrees to Governance, Economics and Development and Human Diversity majors, as presented by David Earhart and Daniela Vichared.
Hi, GED graduates, and actually all other graduates who are watching, congratulations. You have made it, right? You have made it to the end of LUC, and this must be the craziest last semester that any student, I think, at this university has ever had. It's certainly the craziest I've ever had. So congratulations, I mean double congratulations for making it through not just the whole of LUC, but also this insane semester that we have just had under COVID. I have a question for you that might help you answer the same question when your parents ask it of you later today when you celebrate. And it's this. What did you learn at LUC? And so I really want you to think about this. It's not just about what you learned in Ford, right? That you learned how to write a research proposal or how to pose a good question. It's not just about what you learned at institution time, that there's path dependence in institutions and that they're sticky, but sometimes they can change. It's not even just about the capstone and the process that you went through in order to write that thing, mostly on time, and overall, for all of you, really good work. It's not even only what you learn from your friends and from the other social interactions that you've had outside of the classroom at LUC. So think about it and formulate your own answer before you go to dinner, but I'll give you mine. One of the deepest things I hope, and I think that many of you have learned over the last years here at LUC, is what it means to think in the liberal arts tradition and to be what we might call a generalist. Right? And this is not somebody who has an opinion about a wide range of things, or climate change, or about the situation in Syria, or now about COVID. That's not what it means to be a generalist to me. What it means to be a generalist is that you have training, real training, and good information about a lot of different disciplines or a lot of different fields, and that you are able to connect them in some way, that you are able to rise above them and use these different disciplines to answer questions that are genuinely complex, or what you might call wicked. And so the COVID crisis now is a great example, right? We started listening only to the medical experts, but over time you see that this problem is so much more complicated that you need other people with other disciplines, but also people who can integrate these different disciplines and answer questions at a somewhat higher level. So we hope, as all of us at GED, but also me personally, that this is what you can take away from LUC, the sense of what it means to be a generalist and how you should go about learning how to be an even better one. Right? Because we've only just started. You've only just started learning. I've only just started learning what this means. And it's something you can work on throughout your whole life. So this to me, and if you want to read more about this or learn more about this, the book Range by David Epstein is a very good place to look. So I hope that this is what you've taken away, but really it is a question for you to answer for yourself. Now, final words as your convener, your major convener and teacher. After this, you are an official graduate and you don't have to listen to me anymore or any of the other teachers. And it's this, the GED, sometimes, the GED major, sometimes has a reputation for being somewhat pessimistic. And I think maybe the whole of LUC has this sense of being pessimistic, right? Where you come in, most of you come in, as do-gooders who want to change the world, and then we spend sort of 3 years, or a little bit more, depending on how quickly you went, and we spend those years helping you to see that life's a little bit more complicated than that, and sometimes it's not so easy to change the world. You might even have gotten the impression that we think you can't. Now, final words as a GED convener: don't let anyone ever convince you of that claim, that it's not possible to change the world, or that you can't do it, right? We all believe that you are perfectly capable of doing real good in the world, and that hopefully LUC and the GED major has been a good starting point for you on that path. So again, congratulations, enjoy this incredible achievement, and not just because it's an LUC degree, but also really incredible because of the circumstances under which you have managed to achieve them. And enjoy this feeling and the rest of the summer. All the best, and don't forget us, so let us know how you're doing in the future.
Hello everyone. It is likely we won't forget 2020, the year when abruptly and unexpectedly the world stopped, and we were confronted with the fragility of life, but mostly with the precariousness and the volatility of that we call a normal life. If this year has demonstrated something, is that such a thing, a normal life, is a fiction. A fiction that is modeled, represented in the media, spoken about, based on dominant ideas about the social order, about who is who in society, and about why it should be so. As you have studied in the Human Diversity major, the humanities and social sciences have played a big role in normalizing these ideas, but also in contesting them and deconstructing them. One of these dominant ideas, for example, is the idea of the nation. Contrary to what is normally believed, the nation is a very contested idea. The nation is a site of struggles. Struggles about collective memory, about what to remember and when, as Francesco demonstrated in his capstone about the Foibe massacre in Italy. Struggles about how we curate the idea of the nation, as Sophie showed in her capstone about the Rijksmuseum. Political struggles often take dividing lines between liberals and conservatives, as Jona studied in his capstone about satire. But the division lines are not always evident, as Lucy demonstrated on her capstone about the response of liberals and Republicans to the environmentalist work of Wendell Berry. Several of you have written about the challenging and paradoxical aspects of equality, Manami examined the gendering of the hikikomori in Japan. Charlotte looked at the ironies of unequal household work and couple satisfaction in the Netherlands. William explored socioeconomic and social-cultural integration in The Hague. Myriad studied ethno-religious divisions in Northern Ireland. Mo studied how the diversity of Taipei's population coexists with urban development policies inspired mostly by Chinese nationalist ideas. Culture plays a big role in normalizing dominant ideas. Yoris studied the contemporary practices of curating everyday life through Instagram. As he writes, there is a lot to say about contemporary life by looking at a selfie or a hashtag. There is also a lot to say about looking for new ways of commonality and sociality, as Andrea demonstrates on her capstone about the rave culture in Romania. In the name of all my colleagues, I want to congratulate you all and wish you luck and courage for what may come. May you have the will to stand free and to defend human differences in all its forms and expressions. And I want to wish you also hope. In the words of Erich Fromm, hope is a paradoxical exercise. To hope means to be ready at every moment for what is not yet born, and yet not to become desperate if it's not born in our lifetime. For the sake of changing the world, hope we must. Now, let's move on to the conferring of your degrees.
Every student who walks through the halls of LUC will inevitably hear about and have to face the final hurdle of their degree, the capstone. Most students normally face barriers like procrastination, making memes, or fears over whether their paper will be good enough. And that's all before a global pandemic comes along. However, every graduating student has succeeded in passing this capstone. However, among them is a student who not only wrote a capstone that passed, but also wrote the best capstone of the class of 2020. This student will be awarded the Brill Prize 2020, presented by LUC's very own Jacqueline Hilkema.
Writing, as you all know, holds a very important place at LUC, and this importance is reflected in our collaboration with the publishing house Brill, which has supported academic writing at the college from the very beginning. Brill's belief in LUC, its students and their writing is further underlined by the Brill Prize, which we give every year to that one capstone that manages to combine true excellence in research and writing with originality, true originality in approach and presentation. Every major gets to nominate one finalist which they believe has these qualities, and then some. This year's nominations are as follows. Francesco Nardone for HT, Aline Weishard for IJ, Louis Brady for WP, Noemi Novak for EES, and finally Felina Lotner for GED. Now, as the head of the jury, it's been my great privilege to read these 5 capstones. And let me tell you, however different they may be in terms of their subject, in terms of their particular discipline, what they share is that they are truly extraordinary pieces of work. They are all truly excellent. However, we only have one Brill Prize, so there can only be one winner. It gives me great pleasure, therefore, to announce that this year's winner is, little drum roll, Noemi Novak. Noemi, congratulations. Your capstone stands out in so many different ways. The research, is impeccable. The writing is so clear, so logical, so beautiful. The structure, impeccable. So many different ways in which this stood out. Your eye for detail is extraordinary. The idea of adding the rise in temperature to the presidential quotes at the beginning of every chapter, inspired. This is a very deserving winner. A truly, truly excellent capstone. Congratulations, Noemi. Very well done.
Congratulations to our award winner for a prize that is hard won at the best of times and especially now. Last, but by no means least, we will have the conferring of degrees for International Justice and Earth, Energy and Sustainability majors, as presented by Joris Larek and Paul Behrens.
Dear graduating class of 2020, friends, families, dear colleagues. First of all, congratulations to all of you, and especially to our students graduating with a major in International Justice. Over these past years, our IJ students have tackled complex issues of international law, human rights, transitional justice, comparative law, and many more. They've done so through many different assignments, not just exams, essays, and presentations, but also they've drafted policy briefs, legal memos, simulated course proceedings, and peace conferences. Some even published commentaries in leading professional blogs. The many faces and challenges of international justice today have become particularly clear in your fascinating capstone projects. I can't do justice, sorry for the pun, to all the topics, but they ranged from climate refugees to autonomous weapon systems, sexual violence, human trafficking, transparency in commercial arbitration, to decolonizing dispute settlement systems, including the one between the 4 countries that make up the Kingdom of the Netherlands. Of course, you will feel that 2020 is a special year due to the corona crisis, which has turned your final semester at LUC upside down and will surely cast a shadow on many of your immediate future plans. But please do remember that 2020 is also special for other reasons, among which of course your graduation. But it also marks the 75th anniversary of the signing of the Charter of the United Nations, one of the most fundamental documents in international law. Not only looking back, but also to the future, the official motto of this occasion is "The future we want, the UN we need." As you have learned, to get the future we want, yes, we need a functioning UN, but also much more, including effective and accountable institutions at the local, national and regional levels, and some form of common normative fiber to hold us all together. Moreover, while it might feel right now that you've spent years, if not decades, in never-ending Kaltura live room meetings on MS Teams, Zoom, Skype, etc., please don't forget that for the most part, for 5 semesters at least, you studied in the most suitable place on earth to learn about international justice, The Hague. And we really hope to welcome you back here many times. One important slogan of these extraordinary past few months has been "flatten the curve." How exactly to do that, with which measures and with which effects on both societies and international relations, raises in itself many justice questions. Looking to the future, however, I want to conclude with this quote from Dr. Martin Luther King. "The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice." My colleagues and I from IJ hope that through this major, we have equipped you with a solid starter kit of knowledge and skills to help you bend that arc towards justice just that little bit faster, both when helping flatten the curve, as well as in any of your future professional endeavors. We believe you can do it, seeing what you have already achieved and seeing your passion for questions of international justice, that I hope will last for a lifetime. My colleagues and I are very proud of you. Once again, many congratulations.
Hello to everybody out there in front of screens, to staff, parents, students, guests. It's a strange moment to be doing this from behind a camera and on your screens. And really, we couldn't be more proud of our students this year in managing the upheaval that they had to cope with. Changing locations, having to move, working in lockdown. I mean, it was really impressive to everybody graduating today, so really just well done. I'm here to talk a little bit about Earth, Energy and Sustainability, the major, talk a little bit about it and give some examples of capstones, so all in 2 minutes, so I should probably get going. The Earth, Energy and Sustainability major is obviously about the environmental crises that we face, and we do face quite a number of them, not just climate change, but biodiversity loss, chemical pollution, air pollution. Many of these things go together. And what we shouldn't forget is that all of the different majors are involved in the ways in which environmental crises are mediated and the environmental crises that we face. To take a really current example, have a look across the Atlantic at the moment and what's happening in America. We know that people are of colour, people who are in poverty are exposed to more environmental harms. So they live in areas of higher air pollution, and you know, higher air pollution seems to go with COVID as well. So not only are people of colour dying at greater rates due to COVID, they're also exposed to more environmental harm. So we just need to remember that those who are most at risk are the ones with the least say, and pretty much every major can be brought to bear on that problem. So I'll just talk about a couple of, or 3 examples of capstones, interdisciplinary capstones from the EES major. The first one, framing conservation, exploring the role of hope and fear on sustainable consumer behaviour. And I think we can all agree that there's quite a lot of fear and, you know, a lot of hope right now that things can change. Energy geopolitics of the energy transition. And here, Chris was looking at how politics will change as we move away from fossil fuels. You can imagine that if we get rid of oil, there's a lot of countries that are dependent on the oil revenue. So how will they transition to a renewable future? And place meaning and attachments in a Dutch nature construction project. And here, really focusing on the barriers that different projects face due to communities, due to the ways in which people appreciate the place that they are living in. So it's a very daunting world that we're moving into, and you're graduating at a daunting time, but I've seen so many just really impressive capstones, really impressive work, already students working in internships, really making a difference. And although it's a daunting world, this is the moment in which big change can happen, and the greatest opportunity for your talents and the greatest opportunity for you to engage in the problems that we face. So congratulations and enjoy today.
Congratulations to everyone graduating on probably the quickest and definitely the strangest conferring of degrees we've ever done here at LUC.
It's been a long journey to get to this point, both in terms of this ceremony and in terms of life. But now we've got an opportunity to celebrate and to look back on the last few years and the memories that we've made.
Hello everyone, and welcome to this graduation's compulsory trip down memory lane. Today we are going to run you past some of your favorite moments sent in by yourselves.
But first, a cheers to you, the graduating class of 2020.
Yes, congratulations to you as well, by the way.
Congrats to you as well.
Oh,
yes.
What a year it has been, huh? 2020.
Yeah. And 3 years at that. Why don't we go back to where it all began?
Ah, yes, intro week, bliss, youth, ignorance.
Alcohol.
Yes, plenty of it. A memorable but ephemeral week that soon introduced us to all the challenges that LUC had in store for us to conquer. For example, the plugs on floor 2. They never worked.
And not to mention Dutch boys. Oh.
Look at that. That's... wow. And then yet another great challenge that many internationals are yet to overcome.
Drunk biking! But of course, the greatest challenge of them all, hangovers.
Yes, and luckily Adrian's favorite moment actually offers us the perfect solution to this.
5 eggs!
Not great for your cholesterol, but really good for getting you down the elevator at 9 AM, no?
But don't worry, parents and staff. We also did some really cool stuff too. Like participating, organizing, and winning.
And winning.
The most prestigious, progressive, and politically correct sporting event of the world. The UCSRN tournament.
Yes, and we got to go on some eye-opening adventures to all these faraway countries to really put our global challenging skills to the test for once. Like on the ski trip, for example. And also on some other adventures.
There was one student whose photo really blew us away.
Ah, yes, it was so good. It really captured the essence of what it means to be an LUC student so properly.
Yeah, and because of this, we'd like to officially declare this photo to most accurately representing what it is like to go through 3 years of LUC.
Yeah, I mean, just look at it. It's so accurate.
Really speaks to me.
Exactly, I can identify with it, and that's what's important. But yeah, anyways, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately our time here is up for now. We had a great time presenting all these photos to you, and we'll leave you with some more lovely memories.
But for now, goodbye and congratulations everyone.
Now is the moment for us to celebrate and congratulate the student, our valedictorian, who has achieved the highest average grade, also known as GPA, of the class of 2020. This student will receive the highest academic achievement award, for which we invite the Education Director of LUC, Lieke, to present.
Dear graduates, how wonderful to be able to address you as such, graduates of LUC. And although I'm sad, like all of you, not to be able to do this in person, it's somehow also fitting that I'm standing here, at the same place where I addressed you for the first time almost 3 years ago. It was the LUC 101 lecture in your introduction week, and it was my job to explain to you the ins and outs of the LUC program. I remember your faces. Most of you were eager, many of you were sleepy, some even hungover, as it was the middle of introduction week. But you were here and you listened to me, and I hope that what I said kind of stuck with you. You made it, and I honor my promise that I made that day that I would be there on your graduation in July 2020 wearing a hat. To say that the past semester was unusual is an understatement. You have made it and you've completed your degree in very difficult circumstances. You've shown great resilience, flexibility and determination, and each and every one of you should be very proud of what you have achieved. But this is the presentation of the highest academic achievement award, so I will focus now on one of you who has excelled in all her courses and work throughout the past 3 years. Academically, she is described by staff as a student of exceptional merit, who has the makings of a first-rate international development sector leader. She is a great pleasure to have in class and work with, a brilliant, mature and diligent student and a highly motivated leader, organizer and team player. She's also socially conscientious, engaged and empathic. She cares deeply for social outcomes and has a very admirable humility, especially given her talents. Her capstone is titled Whose Knowledge is Power? Western versus Non-Western Voices in Editorial Boards of Political Science Journals. It researches the composition of the editorial boards of academic journals, the gatekeepers of knowledge, if you like, who play a powerful role in filtering which articles are published and ultimately accepted as knowledge. The capstone found that non-Western scholars are severely underrepresented on these boards in political science, and that these patterns are also reflected in the composition of the author body. Discussing how this lack of diversity is self-reinforcing and perpetuated by existing power structures, the capstone shows that there is an urgent need to diversify academia and break the cycle of non-Western marginalization in political science. The capstone is described as written at the level of a mature graduate student rather than an undergraduate, so that is quite an achievement. In true LUC spirit, this student has also been active socially. She's been a student ambassador, a board member of Pax magazine, a star player in our lady soccer team. She presented the student perspective on teaching methods at LUC at an educational conference in Leiden last year, and she was an essential part of the team putting together a book on that same topic. She and her close friend Ulrike are nearly always seen together sporting LUC hoodies, and we will miss them dearly in our building. Dear graduates, colleagues and guests, it is my great pleasure to present the highest academic achievement award to Felina Lotner. Congratulations.
Dear fellow graduates, dear staff, dear parents, families and friends. When we first came to LUC 3 years ago, most of us had grand and optimistic visions of changing the world. However, these past years at LUC have shown us that the world is significantly more complex and messy than we'd originally thought it to be. Considering what has been going on inside and outside of the bubble of this academic year, ranging from an ongoing global health crisis and severe economic turmoil, to major social movements addressing climate change, racism and police brutality, the world as we know it is seemingly more uncertain than ever. In 2020, unbridled optimism has often been pushed aside by frustration and disillusionment. However, I think that now, more than ever, is the time where the skills, knowledge and ideas we have gained during our time at LUC, both inside and outside of the classroom, are crucial. Firstly, these global challenges we are facing are so large, interconnected and complicated that it is simply impossible to solve them alone. While interdisciplinarity is a bit of a buzzword at LUC, the pandemic has clearly shown how crucial it is to bring people with different areas of expertise together. How can we protect vulnerable socioeconomic groups from the impacts of lockdowns, especially considering that minorities are often more adversely affected? How should future healthcare systems be designed to be more resilient in the face of global diseases? How will the pandemic shape how states compete or cooperate with each other? And how can we rebuild the global economy in a sustainable and climate-neutral way? I believe that whichever major and classes we have pursued during our time at LUC, and wherever our paths will lead us in the future, we all have a role to play in bringing our expertise together to make smart, sustainable, and future-proof decisions. Secondly, the pandemic has shown that no idea is too small. Creative inventions, initiatives, and random acts of kindness have played an important role during the lockdown. This is also reflected in the great initiatives many staff members and inspiring students and fellow graduates have taken on during the pandemic to keep the LUC community alive and vibrant. Disillusionment, while often certainly warranted, will be less useful in bringing us forward than innovative small and large solutions that can redefine the way our post-pandemic world will look like. But if no idea is too small, we also need to make sure that we're not filtering out ideas from the outset. Opening up research and discussion spaces, especially academia, to include marginalized voices and promote a diversity of ideas is essential to move forwards. Lastly, COVID-19 is not the only pandemic, metaphorically speaking, that we are facing today. Major issues like widening economic and social inequality, racial injustice, and a looming climate catastrophe also need to be addressed by bringing people together and with the same level of urgency. While no one can save the world alone, we all need to be aware of the role we as individuals are playing in perpetuating harmful structures and social injustices. However, we should also acknowledge the responsibilities and opportunities that we do have to use the knowledge and ideas we have gained in the past 3 years here to create a more equal, prosperous, and sustainable world. And my personal takeaway from my time at LUC is that this is really only possible together. Thank you.
With that, all of the class of 2020 have received their degrees. All that everyone has worked so hard for over the last few years has come to fruition, and we wish all of you a congratulations. It's well earned. You might now be feeling a bit nervous about being done with studying, but don't worry. For better or for worse, LUC and the Bubble are not quite done with you just yet. You're all part of the alumni community now, and here to tell us more about this is Jana van Vermeskerken, graduate of the class of 2019.
Dear graduates, I can imagine that this must have been a weird time to wrap up your final semester at LUC. A time in which you especially want to be able to come together with your friends to celebrate the milestone that graduation represents. You're now no longer a student, but have evolved into an alumnus. So congrats on graduating, and I want to warmly welcome you into the LUC alumni community. 2 years ago, when I graduated myself, I told my peers that one of the things that marked being part of LUC was the solidarity amongst peers. And in my experience, this is something that persists even after graduation. When I meet fellow alumni today, even when we didn't share the same friend group or took the same classes, we managed to bond over common LUC experiences, such as certain jokes at the Dies Fatalis or the fact that beaches at Scheveningen always seem to be rainy. But also on more serious matters, you can definitely consult older alumni to help you guide you in decisions about follow-up degrees or the careers that you want to pursue. So I want to emphasize, do not be shy to reach out to older alumni. You have all received cards with confetti made out of seeds. Let these seeds be a metaphor for your post-LUC life. While LUC has given you a solid foundation that you should be very proud of, in order to continue to grow, we need to invest time and effort into ourselves. Something that I've learned after LUC is that sometimes at LUC we were so focused on learning inside the classroom that we forgot to learn about ourselves. So take the time to reflect, to learn from your mistakes, and to grow as a person, not just as an academic. Whatever your path may be, I'm sure it will be a very exciting one, and I wish you all the best on your next endeavors. I hope to see some of you soon, perhaps through an online alumni event. And for now, just be proud of yourself and enjoy the feeling of having graduated as much as you can.
And now we would like to take the time to acknowledge the people who have followed us throughout our journey at LUC. Thank you to all of the staff here for all of your help and guidance over the past years. They've been there from the very beginning of our LUC careers and handled all of our non-stop questions during capstone. On that note, here are the staff of LUC.
Always look on the bright side of life.
Congratulations, class of 2020. You did it, and in a remarkable period. So wishing you all the very best in your future endeavors and good health and happiness and great adventures to come. Bye.
Hey everybody, congratulations. Good luck getting a job in the apocalypse.
Dear class of 2020, I know these are strange times. Try to nevertheless enjoy your moment. You deserve it. Happy graduation.
Congratulations, graduates. You're at a critical juncture. The path ahead may be complex, but enjoy the process.
Hey, class of 2020, congratulations. Good luck.
Congratulations, class of 2020. Well done on your graduation after 3 years at LUC. Now it's time to just kick up your feet and relax.
Hey, graduates, happy graduation today.
From me, a quote from Khalil Gibran, who said, "To be able to look back upon one's life in satisfaction is to live twice." I hope LUC gave you that.
Dear class of 2020, I know this year hasn't really turned out the way you would have liked to. But look at it this way. You will never, ever have to explain to anybody why it matters so much to study tackling global challenges.
Congratulations to the class of graduates of 2020. I wish you all the best for your future.
Hi there, class of 2020. Congratulations on graduating after what must have been the most challenging semester at LUC ever. I'm very proud of you. I wish you all the best for your future and I hope to see you again. Stay in touch and until we meet again, hou je Haags.
Hola, felicitaciones. Apuesto a que nadie se esperaba una graduación de este tipo. Disfruten este momento y en el futuro pongan corazón.
I will never forget your graduation. First it sounded like a whisper and then you started talking about the revolution. Well done. Congratulations and all the best.
Congratulations as you graduate from LUC today and all the best as you move forward.
Congratulations to you LUC graduates. I'm so happy that we could organize this graduation for you. Keep adding to the goodness and beauty in the world. Make your dreams come true. I'm proud of you.
Hi, I am joined here by my constant companion in online teaching this semester to wish you all a very happy graduation and to ask you please to stay in touch because that's actually one of the best things about LUC is staying in touch with alumni. So congratulations. It's a weird time to graduate. We're all thinking of you. We'll continue to think of you. And yeah, don't be a stranger.
It's really messy out there, but you guys are the ones that are going to fix everything, right? All right. Awesome.
Thanks to staff for putting that together. And as we're approaching the end of this ceremony, we can finally do this. With that, though, it is our time to say the final congratulations to the class of 2020. We hope to see as many of you as possible next year for the in-person ceremony.
We'd like to thank you all for tuning in and for the last 3 years of our time at LUC. For now, though, we'll hand it off one last time to Judy for the closing remarks.
Now, I spy with my little eye 164 graduates with bachelor degrees. My warmest congratulations to all of you. Cherish this achievement and enjoy the moment. As this ceremony draws to a close, I would like to take a moment to thank the people that have made today truly special through their unyielding energy and commitment, even in an online situation. Join me in thanking Ingrid Den Bos and Elizabeth Zeller, who have worked very hard to organize this event in all of its details. And a big thank you to all those others that have contributed to today's online program. Our commencement speaker, class representative, valedictorian, alumni representative, and of course, Master of Ceremony. But also a special thank you to this year's team of residential assistants and student members of our boards and of our councils who have all worked hard to make life at LUC as good as it can be. I'm sure you are now all ready for some celebrations, but it is my job as Dean to periodically annoy you and make things generally more irritating. Often by insisting on a final lesson even after you have graduated and you are no longer under my jurisdiction. But whatever jurisdiction you will decide to enter after summer, the learning journey will continue. That sounds almost like a threat, but it is actually a treat. To people asking me about my own experiences at LUC in the last 4 years, I always answer the same thing. It is a privilege to feel like a student every day in the presence of so many infinitely interesting people, staff and students, who can show me things that I have never truly seen or understood before. We have all done our best at LUC to teach you well, to show you how to understand and appreciate different perspectives on complex global challenges, but even in an environment where seeing, really seeing, is the holy grail, we sometimes still do not see the forest through the trees, or fail to see what has been right in front of us all along. Even 20/20 vision does not protect human beings from failing to see. And this is why we are all learners until the very end, regardless of our diplomas and credentials. Learning is a privilege and it is one to embrace for a lifetime. To quote Mahatma Gandhi, live as if you were to die tomorrow, learn as if you were to live forever. My best and warmest congratulations to the class of 2020.
It's 9 o'clock on Saturday. Regular crowd shuffles in. There's an old man sitting next to me, making love to his tonic and gin.
The sun can play me a memory. I'm not really sure how it goes, but inside it's sweet when I when I walk in, let's go. La la dee da, la la dee da. Sing us a song.
Tonight. Now John at the bar,
There's a friend of mine.
he gets me my drinks for free. And he's
Quick with a joke,
borderline this night,
but there's someplace
that he'd rather be. He says,
still I believe
this is killing me,
as the smile.
away from his face.
Well, I'm sure a movie star.
Get out of this place.
La la dee da, la la dee da. Now is a real estate novelist who never had time for a wife, and he's starting with Evie, who's still in the Navy, and probably will be for life. And the waitress is practicing politics, and
The businessman's
slowly gets
stone.
is sharing a drink take on loneliness, but it's better than
Drinking alone.
it's a pretty good crowd for a Saturday.
The manager gives me
A smile, 'cause he knows that it's
come
to see, to forget about life. And the piano sounds
like a carnival and a microphone.
what are you doing here? La la dee da, la la dee da.
Well, we're all